This video is prepared based on official accident reports and witness testimonies. January 13, 1982, Washington, D.C. endures one of its worst blizzards as Air Florida Flight 90 prepares for departure to Tampa and Fort Lauderdale. What begins as delayed winter travel becomes one of aviation's most tragic icing disasters. Captain Larry Wheaton commands the Boeing 737-200 with 74 passengers and crew aboard, many eager to escape Washington's brutal winter for Florida sunshine. The experienced pilot faces unfamiliar conditions. He has never flown in snow before. After hours of delays due to airport closure and snow removal, Flight 90 finally receives takeoff clearance. However, ice accumulation on wings and engine sensors creates deadly conditions invisible to crew and passengers alike. 31 seconds after rotation, the struggling aircraft crashes into the 14th Street Bridge before plunging into the frozen Potomac River. In full view of the nation's capital, a desperate rescue unfolds that captures America's attention. This is the story of how inadequate de-icing procedures, crew inexperience with winter operations, and systemic safety failures combine to create tragedy. Yet from the icy waters emerges extraordinary heroism as ordinary citizens risk everything to save strangers. The crash transforms aviation winter operations forever, proving that even thin ice contamination can kill. Air Florida 90 becomes a turning point in aviation safety, ensuring future generations fly with better protection against winter's deadly grip. Boeing 737-222 N62AF represents Air Florida's rapid expansion during airline deregulation. The 5-year-old aircraft serves the growing carrier's ambitious route network connecting Florida with northeastern cities despite limited cold weather experience. Air Florida's meteoric rise from small regional carrier to America's 16th largest airline creates operational challenges. Rapid expansion strains training programs and operational procedures, particularly for winter weather operations outside Florida's typical climate. Captain Larry Wheaton brings 5,800 total flight hours but lacks crucial cold weather experience. First Officer Roger Pettit contributes 1,400 hours, also without significant winter flying background. This crew combination proves inadequate for Washington's challenging conditions. January 13, 1982 delivers brutal winter weather across the mid-Atlantic region. Heavy snowfall accumulates 6.5 inches, forcing Washington National Airport closure for snow removal operations. The storm continues with temperatures at 24 FF and moderate snowfall. Airport reopens at noon under marginal conditions as snowfall decreases but continues. De-icing operations struggle with inadequate equipment and procedures, while ground delays allow fresh accumulation between treatment and takeoff. The Boeing 737's Florida-based maintenance crews lack experience with proper winter preparation. De-icing fluid concentrations prove inadequate due to equipment calibration problems and missing monitoring devices. Flight 90's departure delay extends to 1 hour 45 minutes due to traffic backlog caused by airport closure. During this critical period, ice continues accumulating on aircraft surfaces despite de-icing treatment performed earlier. Air Florida Flight 90 arrives from Miami the previous evening and parks overnight at Washington National Airport. Cold temperatures and precipitation create ideal conditions for ice formation on aircraft surfaces. Morning preparations begin with standard passenger boarding as crews assess deteriorating weather conditions. The Boeing 737 requires extensive ground support operations including fuel loading, baggage handling, and passenger amenities in challenging winter conditions. American Airlines ground crews perform de-icing under service agreement with Air Florida using heated water and monopropylene glycol mixture. However, critical procedural failures occurred during this life-saving operation. Ground personnel failed to install required covers for pitot tubes, static ports, and engine inlets as specified in the service agreement. These sensors provide critical airspeed and engine performance data to flight crews during all phases of operation. The de-icing equipment nozzle had been changed without proper calibration, delivering significantly lower fluid concentrations than selected. 18% concentration replaces intended 30%, reducing protection effectiveness substantially. No mix meter monitors actual fluid concentration despite manufacturer availability. Ground crews assume proper concentrations while applying inadequate protection against ice formation on critical aircraft surfaces. Extended ground delays allow continued precipitation to accumulate fresh contamination over previously treated surfaces. The time gap between de-icing and takeoff exceeds protective effectiveness of applied treatments. Weather conditions continue deteriorating with visibility reduced to quarter-mile minimums. Snow accumulation increases aircraft weight while reducing aerodynamic efficiency through surface contamination. Captain Wheaton and First Officer Pettit begin pre-flight preparation facing unfamiliar winter operational challenges. Their Florida-based experience provides inadequate background for Washington's hazardous conditions. The crew fails to activate engine anti-ice systems during ground operations, despite manufacturer recommendations and industry best practices. They misunderstand anti-ice system usage, believing protection applies only to in-flight operations. Critical engine pressure ratio sensors become blocked with ice and snow during ground operations. These PT-2 probes provide essential data for setting proper takeoff thrust, but contamination causes erroneous gauge readings. Pre-takeoff checklist completion proceeds without recognizing ice accumulation severity. Visual inspection proves insufficient for detecting clear ice formation on wing surfaces and control components. Aircraft N-62AF taxis toward runway 36, carrying deadly ice contamination invisible to crew and ground personnel. Snow continues falling as the Boeing 737 enters position for departure clearance. Ground traffic congestion delays takeoff sequence as multiple aircraft await departure clearance. Each minute of delay allows additional ice accumulation while protective de-icing fluid loses effectiveness. The crew requests immediate takeoff clearance to minimize ground exposure time. However, air traffic control sequences require additional waiting that proves fatal for flight safety margins. First Officer Pettit expresses concern about aircraft performance during taxi operations. His comments about unusual engine readings receive insufficient attention from the experienced captain. Before continuing this tragic winter disaster, please subscribe to Through the Pilot's Eyes for detailed aviation analysis. Your support helps us research these critical safety lessons. Now back to Flight 90's doomed departure. At 4 p.m., Flight 90 receives takeoff clearance from runway 36 into deteriorating weather conditions. Captain Wheaton advances thrust levers while First Officer Pettit monitors engine instruments showing erroneous readings. Ice-blocked PT-2 sensors cause engine pressure ratio gauges to display incorrect thrust settings. The crew believes they have applied proper takeoff power while engines actually produce insufficient thrust for the contaminated aircraft. The Boeing 737 begins takeoff roll carrying significant ice contamination on wings, empennage, and control surfaces. Additional snow accumulation during ground delays further degrades aircraft performance below safe parameters. Rotation occurs much later than normal, as reduced lift generation requires extended ground roll. The aircraft struggles to achieve flying speed while carrying deadweight ice burden affecting all aerodynamic surfaces. First Officer Pettit repeatedly expresses concern during takeoff roll. That don't seem right, does it? His warnings about abnormal performance receive minimal response from Captain Wheaton. After rotation, Flight 90 climbs slowly and enters aerodynamic stall just 352 feet above ground level. Ice contamination destroys wing lift generation while engine thrust remains inadequate for sustained flight. The aircraft becomes airborne for only 30 seconds before losing flying capability. Gravity and aerodynamics combine to pull the struggling Boeing 737 back toward Earth despite maximum crew efforts. Flight 90 descends rapidly toward the Potomac River with insufficient altitude for recovery. Captain Wheaton fights desperately to maintain control while First Officer Pettit pushes thrust levers to maximum emergency power. The Boeing 737 approaches multiple bridges spanning the frozen river. Its trajectory carries it directly toward the heavily traveled 14th Street Bridge connecting Washington, D.C. with Arlington, Virginia. At 4:01 p.m. exactly, 31 seconds after takeoff, Flight 90 strikes the bridge's northbound span. The aircraft impacts stopped traffic during rush hour, destroying 6 cars and 1 truck in explosive collision. The crash tears away 97 feet of bridge railing and 41 feet of protective barrier wall. 4 motorists die instantly while several others suffer serious injuries from the aircraft's devastating impact. Flight 90 cartwheels over the barrier and plunges nose first into the ice-covered Potomac River. The Boeing 737 breaks apart on water impact, with fuselage sections separating and wings disintegrating. Most passengers and crew perish instantly from impact forces as seats break loose and compress forward. The aircraft's structural failure crushes occupants against debris while frigid water begins flooding cabin spaces. Only the tail section remains partially above surface, providing precarious refuge for 6 badly injured survivors clinging to wreckage. The remainder of Flight 90 disappears beneath grinding ice flows in the mighty river. Rescue becomes urgent as survivors face hypothermia and 30 Feb water temperature. Their survival depends on immediate assistance before cold water claims additional victims. National Park Police helicopter pilot Donald Usher and paramedic Gene Windsor respond immediately to crash reports from their base near the Potomac River. Their Bell UH-1 Huey launches into deteriorating weather conditions. The rescue crew arrives at the crash site 20 minutes after impact, finding 6 survivors clinging to the aircraft's tail section in freezing water. Ice flows complicate approach as the helicopter battles wind and snow. Usher demonstrates exceptional flying skill by hovering dangerously close to the water surface. At times, the helicopter's skids dip beneath the surface as he maintains precise position for rescue operations. Rescue equipment deploys from the helicopter: life vests, flotation balls, and rescue lines. The survivors, suffering from shock and hypothermia, struggle to maintain consciousness and grip strength. One passenger, later identified as Arland Williams Jr., repeatedly passes rescue equipment to other survivors instead of saving himself. His extraordinary heroism ensures others receive priority assistance despite his own desperate condition. Flight attendant Kelly Duncan receives first rescue priority, lifted directly from the water by helicopter hoist operation. Her survival provides crucial testimony about the crash sequence and passenger actions. 3 additional survivors cross ice floes with helicopter assistance, reaching shore through dangerous but successful rescue operations. Priscilla Teredo loses grip on rescue line but receives assistance from civilian hero Lenny Skutnik. When rescuers return for Williams, he has disappeared beneath the icy waters. His ultimate sacrifice saves multiple lives while costing his own, creating one of aviation's most heroic passenger stories. The National Transportation Safety Board launches comprehensive investigation into Flight 90's crash, focusing on winter operations procedures and ice contamination effects on aircraft performance. Investigators examine wreckage recovered from the Potomac River, analyzing structural failures and impact sequences. The Boeing 737's breakup pattern provides crucial evidence about crash dynamics and survivability factors. Cockpit voice recorder analysis reveals crew confusion about abnormal engine performance during takeoff roll. First Officer Pettit's repeated warnings about incorrect readings highlight communication failures between crew members. Flight data recorder information confirms inadequate thrust production despite crew belief they had applied proper takeoff power. Ice-blocked PT-2 sensors created false EPR readings throughout ground operations and takeoff sequence. Engine examination reveals extensive ice accumulation in critical sensors and air intakes. The anti-ice systems remained inactive despite manufacturer recommendations for ground operations in icing conditions. Wing surface analysis demonstrates widespread ice contamination that destroyed lift generation capability. Even thin ice layers proved sufficient to cause aerodynamic stall at low altitude. De-icing equipment testing exposes significant procedural and equipment failures at Washington National Airport. Fluid concentration deficiencies and missing monitoring equipment contributed to inadequate aircraft preparation. The investigation identifies multiple contributing factors: crew inexperience with winter operations, inadequate training, poor de-icing procedures, and systemic failures in cold weather safety protocols. NTSB findings transform aviation winter operations through comprehensive safety improvements and enhanced crew training requirements. Air Florida's rapid expansion during deregulation created operational pressures that compromised safety culture. The airline's focus on profitability overshadowed proper training and procedure development for challenging operations. Crew training programs proved inadequate for winter weather operations outside Air Florida's typical warm weather routes. Neither captain nor first officer received proper cold weather flying instruction or ice contamination recognition training. Industry-wide confusion existed regarding anti-ice system usage during ground operations. Many airlines and crews misunderstood manufacturer recommendations, believing engine protection applied only to in-flight icing conditions. Federal regulations failed to clearly mandate specific de-icing procedures and crew responsibilities. The clean aircraft concept existed but lacked detailed enforcement mechanisms and clear procedural guidance. Airport de-icing operations suffered from inadequate equipment maintenance and calibration. Washington National Airport's ground support capabilities could not match the winter operational demands placed upon them. Air traffic control procedures contributed to dangerous delays between de-icing and takeoff. No time limits existed for protective fluid effectiveness, allowing crews to operate aircraft outside safe parameters. Weather services provided inadequate guidance about ice accumulation rates and protective fluid degradation. Crews lacked real-time information about changing contamination levels during ground operations. The accident exposed fundamental weaknesses in aviation's approach to winter operations. Safety culture emphasized schedule adherence over proper weather preparation, creating systemic vulnerability to ice-related accidents. These failures extended beyond Air Florida to industry-wide problems requiring comprehensive regulatory and operational reforms. Thank you for following this important aviation safety story with Through the Pilot's Eyes. Please subscribe for comprehensive analysis of accidents that transformed aviation safety and winter operations. Air Florida Flight 90 becomes the catalyst for revolutionary changes in aviation winter operations. The accident prompts immediate regulatory action and industry-wide safety improvements that save thousands of future lives. The Federal Aviation Administration issues comprehensive new regulations requiring enhanced pilot training for ice contamination recognition. Crews must now demonstrate competency in winter weather operations before certification on routes requiring cold weather capabilities. Aircraft manufacturers redesign anti-ice systems with clearer operational guidance. Engine protection systems receive mandatory activation requirements during ground operations in icing conditions, eliminating dangerous crew confusion. Airport de-icing operations undergo complete overhaul with standardized procedures and equipment requirements. Concentration monitoring devices become mandatory while time limits govern protective fluid effectiveness periods. The clean aircraft concept receives detailed regulatory definition with specific contamination limits and inspection procedures. Crews must now verify aircraft cleanliness through tactile inspection and visual confirmation before takeoff. Modern de-icing technology incorporates lessons learned from Flight 90, including improved fluid chemistry, application techniques, and effectiveness monitoring. Type 2 and Type 4 fluids provide extended protection periods. Arland Williams Jr.'s heroism inspires recognition of passenger bravery through the 14th Street Bridge naming in his honor. His sacrifice embodies human courage when facing impossible circumstances. The accident's television coverage brings aviation safety into public consciousness, increasing support for comprehensive safety improvements and regulatory oversight of airline operations.